What's up, everybody? This is AutoBlack. AutoBlack is a discussion-based podcast hosted by five Black architects, and we talk about everything from politics to culture to sports to whatever we want, and we do it from a unapologetically Black point of view. And we are also architecturally trained, so we allow that to filter in through our deliberation. So thank y'all for joining us on the stoop. If you've been with us before and you're back again, welcome back. This is your first time joining us. Welcome to your new favorite podcast. I say there's five Black architects, but if you're watching us on YouTube, you only see three of us on your screens. That's because two of our other members, they're in sabbatical. We're coming off our summer break, and everybody has their recovery process, so that's okay. They'll be with us later on in the season. But if you're looking on the screen right now, we have Perla,
Hello, hello.
we have Jamar,
What do you do, baby?
and then we have myself, Robert. I'm your host, and this is AutoBlack.
You don't got no ad lib?
Nah, not today, man. It's coming off the summer break. You're a little rusty. Got to, it's summer train. It's preseason. Got to knock the rust off.
Hey, look, but Rob, I do want to add in that we have a sponsor this week. We are sponsored by Bacon Neck, and we are also sponsored by the Aegis Society, and we have a member of the Aegis Society, Perla. And let me tell you how I know she's a part of the Aegis Society.
Wow.
Somebody recently had a birthday, and I have receipts. And somebody was like, I was just chatting in the group chat, and
No.
here comes Perla.
Fake news.
A Negro at that. A Negro is darn near 40 and out here spawning hate.
Why don't you read the message you sent earlier, Jamar?
That was deleted.
This is no. This is Boy Who Cried Wolf through and through.
And then she said, already calling out kids these days. Like she's already had these kids these days mentality.
When you take things,
all because I turned the tender age of 25.
This is a live recording of what someone takes sound bites, okay, and use it for their own benefit. Fake news. I'm sure our listeners will understand and know that I wouldn't just say things off the rep. Oh, off the rep. Merc.
You see, you're caught in your own life.
No. I'm also still waking up, okay, but you can't just say things all willy nilly and expect them to just, accept it. They know my personality, okay? They know I'm not just going to say things just to say it. You clearly provoked me, all right?
Anyway, again, sponsored by the Aegis Society of America. Thank you,
Okay.
Grandmaster.
All right.
Over there.
Okay. I'll keep this in mind.
It sounds like you had that locked and loaded for some weeks. That you could.
I'm actually blindsided by this, Rob. Truly.
Oh, so was I. When I turned 25, I'm getting called old. Getting called unk by my own kind.
Wow, guys. So the fact that he said that he's 25 just proves that he's lying. He's just lying through and through.
You're not unk yet. We still in that big bro territory. You're not unk yet.
I hope so, man.
You don't get unk until you like 40. You big bro.
Look, my dad, he got mad when somebody called him pops. He's like, I ain't no pops. Who called me pops? I'm like, Dad, you did turn 60. He was like, I ain't pops. I can't stand they call me pops.
I'm actually glad to see y'all. I've been eagerly waiting to record for a while now. It's good to be back. And also the fact that I see y'all here, it is September 27th when we're recording. That means y'all ain't get caught up.
We made it through the rapture, baby. Oh, actually, that's not a good thing, right? We demons. We devilish.
Out of all of us, I'd at least thought Perla would get caught up.
Well, listen, I just learned about the rapture recently, so I can't really speak to that. Unfortunately. But I'd be curious to know what that the pastor who talked about it, if he's still here, one. And two, what do you have to say? And here's the thing, I know people are making light of it, but there are some people who genuinely believed him, when that's a problem in and of itself. But for people's hope to be so high and then to wake up the next day dang, can you believe? Can you imagine?
I'm old enough to have lived through a couple of these, and I will say this is the laziest one that I have ever experienced. I remember when it was 2K Y2K, and we was going from 1999 to 2000. There was all this stuff about, world's going to end, technology is going to all of a sudden cut off, and there was a whole lot of drama behind it. I
Mm,
remember it was back in like in somewhere in the 2000 teens when it was like the Mayan calendar is about to end. There's no more, the Mayans are the ones who got it right, and so when the calendar ends, that's when the world's going to end. A lot of fanfare, a lot of drama, a lot of hype. This one on the TikTok corner of the prophetic version of TikTok, it was just like lazy. Like there was no hype, there was no drama. I mean, I did see people like this. I saw this clip of this one dude selling his car. Like, I ain't gonna need it tomorrow. I'm gonna be caught up. I'm selling my car. I don't need it tomorrow. So like, it was lazy fanfare, and but I think what's funny to me is the people. There's one very critical piece in Revelations when it's talking about the end times, and it's the no man knows the day nor hour.
yeah,
Like how do you miss that?
yeah,
Like that's just fundamental. That's a fundamental pretext to the end times.
yeah. I mean, it just shows that the people, well, people just need to read the Bible more. I mean, that's just it, So I'll just leave it there and keep it moving. Yeah,
Well, what I found interesting is the people who were selling their cars. Like, first of all, you can't take your money with you. So if you really believe in the rapture, give it away. Give it away. Why are you selling stuff? Oh, let me
yeah.
sell my earthly possessions because I can take my earthly money with me to heaven. Make it make sense. Like you said, it was half-assed. As come on now, like what? I'm not gonna need
No,
it. Let me sell my car.
yeah. I mean, but it also does point the fact that there's a lot more that people need to know about the Bible, just like outside of the rapture concept, but just like everything else. Because why are you like I don't know, the reaction of selling things because you're no longer going to be here the next day just doesn't make sense to me. It's still rooted in materialism.
Hmm.
But I don't want to get too deep. I'll anyway. Sorry. I'll stop. I'll stop.
Well, regardless, I'm happy to see y'all. And by this being our first recording of this season, we actually have something special in store. We've been having this one style of podcast that we have traditionally called like our Freestyle Fridays, where we sort of just kind of, just rap about things in a less structured and organized way. Um, Today we're going to actually flip to a sort of a new version of that, and this is a recording structure that we call the pinup. So essentially it's actually rooted in what we've all fundamentally went through in architecture school, and even in the profession, where you have to present your idea for an allotted amount of time, 3 to 5 minutes. And the point of that is for you to try to convince a jury of your peers that um, your perception, your take, your opinion of this set of ideas that you're presenting is valid and it's reasonable. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a round robin type recording where we're all going to bring to the jury of our peers an idea that we are believing is valid, and we're trying to get others to do the same thing. And so by the end of our presentation of the idea, will be allotted to ask questions, to get clarifying points of view, to poke holes in the ideas. And at the end of that time, what we're going to do is we're going to all take a vote. We either will buy the idea, and meaning that we accept it and that your presentation is enough to convince us that you're essentially right. We'll either reject the idea, we're not buying what you're selling, or we'll rent it. Yeah, maybe you had some things that were, your facts were a little bit shaky, your position was a little bit but it's enough for me to consider it and ponder on it a little bit more. So we'll rent the idea. And so that's the recording that we're in for today. Something a little bit fun and just something to again allow us to present to y'all, things that we think on and pontificate on, when we're not on this stoop. So, with that, Brother Jamar, would you like to start us off?
Well, I'm glad you called me brother because I'm going to speak on the rapture today, if you don't mind me
Mercy
speaking on
me.
it. No,
The,
I'm
the,
joking.
the,
I was going to predict another one and have the internet going crazy. But no, actually, my idea is called American Rumspringer. I think I said that right. But have you? Does everybody know what the Rumspringer is?
No.
So the Amish Rumspringer, right? This is what the Rumspringer comes from. Is when people within the Amish community, I think it's usually when they become about age of a teenager or maybe about the age of an adult, they leave their community to go experience the world, and then
Hmm.
they can decide if they want to come back or not, right? So this is their opportunity to leave their community and just try something else.
hmm,
My idea is that every American at the age of 12 should have to move and relocate from where they're from. And part of me is struggling between the idea of it should it be the extreme opposite, right? So let's say if you're from West Virginia, you have to go to Chicago. If you're from California, you have to go to Texas. If you're from Texas, you have to go to California, right? So like you basically the reason why I'm doing this is so that I feel like all of us have kind of shifted and moved around from different places. And I think that impacted how we see people and how we see life. And I think it, even if it reinforced some things or it changed your mind about some things, you still came out of it with something different. And so I'm thinking that if we require this for all 18-year-olds for 5 years, they have to live in a different place that's somewhat opposite from where they grew up. I think we would be a different place as a country. Maybe not. I don't know, but we'll see when we get to the discussion. Are we doing this like I'm going to present the whole case, or am I just doing like a presentation and then we're going to pick who goes?
let's do the presentation first, so that we get a little gist of what
Okay.
everybody is saying, and then we'll figure out the order from there.
All right. So American Rumspringer.
Okay. And Perla, how about you?
I was just wondering if I should just already put a liquidation sale on the top of my forehead, because I know people are just not going to maybe believe what I'm about to say.
I definitely took
It's
that a
a
different way.
uh, oh well, no, no, not like that.
You said liquidation sale. I'm like, okay, discounts.
No, 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 no.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
But okay, probably that was the wrong terminology to use.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
all right.
Okay. Well, I don't know how to follow that up, but
Yeah.
just to give you a sort of preview of the idea that I would like to discuss is um, America needs to stop building stadiums. We need to
Oh,
stop building stadiums and have the
already written.
taxpayers to fund
No,
it. And
rejected.
instead,
Hmm.
we should listen to Gen Z.
Oh,
Rejecting
I,
because of,
I
go ahead, brother.
no, I think you're about to say the same thing I'm about to say.
We
Only
need to,
because like
we need to follow Gen Z.
only because my team is potentially getting a new stadium, and
That's why,
Uh,
so
number
that's
one,
not
that's
what I
why I
was
said
gonna
it.
say. I was not
and
gonna
it,
say anything
all
like
right,
that.
but you know what? I already reject it because I already know where you're coming from. I reject it, but
I would love to hear what Gen Z has to say about this.
All right.
They still got milk on their breath, but let's see. Let's see what they have to say.
see, and ages. I called it. I called it. Y'all, was like, yo, she's such a saint. Perla's so nice. No, this is real Perla. This is real Perla.
Sorry,
But all
I
right,
have a bias. I'm sorry.
so I say we go with Rob first. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Pearl. I'm interested to hear what you guys say. All right, it's between us
Uh,
two. I feel like mine is the
well,
tamest of the three.
I have.
Are you going first, Rob?
Yeah, I'll kick us off. I'll kick us
All right,
off.
go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So, as you all know, there has been a lot of media attention around certain NFL teams desiring new stadiums. The commies for one is trying.
Commanders.
Excuse me. The Commanders are trying to get a new stadium.
Sorry,
I think
butt push,
three
tush
point
push,
eight
whatever you want to call it.
billion. Don't
Butt slappers.
we are the defending Super Bowl champions? Okay, don't come at my squad. All right, but it's a $3.8 billion endeavor. I think I just saw in the news the other day that the Chicago Bears had to revise their stadium approach because initially they wanted a new stadium that is right on the waterfront. right along one of the parks along the lake. That was rejected by the community members, so they've had to relocate it to one of the Chicago suburbs. Again, another multi-billion-dollar sub investment. We know that SoFi just got built out in Inglewood, a multi-billion-dollar, and so I think that there's this perception that these stadiums drive economic development. And we always know that these stadiums are always going to be paid for by the taxpayers. And even in the case in DC, some would even say that the deal that the city has struck with the Commanders is really lopsided. Like it's not. I mean, it even gives. It's a little bit crazy because it even gives like preferred development rights of non like of housing and other stuff to the Commanders too. So it's like, anyways. But there's always this idea that there's economic development that is spurred behind the stadiums, and from a planning point of view, an urban designer, urban planning point of view, there is very little American cities that actually get it right. Like these stadiums are monstrosities. They take up acres of land, a lot of it for parking, and especially in the case of football, some of the other sports are a little bit different, but with football, they're only active for what, 8 to 10 times a year. Out of that, they're pretty much dormant, and so I think the better position that a lot of cities should be chasing is they should be chasing to land esport franchises, and we should be building esport venues. And hear me out. So esports,
Sorry.
I'll take questions at the end, Perla.
Oh, I'm
I'll
sorry.
take questions
Yes,
at the end.
yes. Okay.
So I think instead of putting billions of dollars into NFL, MLB, or NBA stadiums, I think that stadiums should invest more heavily in building up. I'm sorry, I think cities should invest more heavily in building up esports franchises and chasing esports teams, and building venues to support that. And the reason why is, and I said I think we should listen to Gen Z, is because if we look at the way in which traditional media has changed over the years, I don't think that there's any other generation that has challenged the norms of traditional media than Gen Z, and which Gen Alpha is going to be after them. And obviously, technology and advancement there has really helped spur that, but traditional media is struggling. I think even when Jimmy Kimmel made his return back, and the Sinclair still didn't broadcast them in certain networks, the reason why Jimmy Kimmel's numbers still soared higher than any other point in his career is because people watched him on YouTube. People watched the clips being, the soundbite and the clips being ran on YouTube. And so social media, YouTube, all of these non-traditional media outlets have really changed the way we consume media. And some of the biggest movers in that are Twitch streamers. And a lot of these streamers, they command audiences that are far more than what the NBA can command, what NFL games can command. And so I think that by switching the investment goal, and you're going after these esport teams and esport venues, you do you also create opportunities for a new type of third space. Like these venues are more than just venues for esports and consuming the activity, but they become third spaces to foster connectivity. I think that what we all can acknowledge, that what social media has done is that it has made us sort of less connected with people, because we connect over virtual ways. But if we can get these esport venues right, we can now bring those virtual connections into a single place. They can become tech incubators. They can become after school programs. Like it becomes something that is really invested in the youth, and they can be designed and built for a fraction of what stadiums can become. They are models that can be, really integrated into urban environments in a way that is more cohesive and more whole. And I think that if you just think about the benefit of the youth and the generation that's coming behind us, I think that this is the position that some municipalities should be taking. I
So
rest my case.
my original my one pushback I have is one, DC is a unique position because DC is not a traditional city. It's I don't even know what you call it. It's not a city state, but it's not a traditional city. So they have to do things differently than a New York City or a Boston or a Baltimore, because that leverage power is unique in that way. Now, I will agree with you that most sports venues are done wrong, and I actually think that now they are starting to change that so that they become more entertainment centers in general. So, for example, in Boston, like the whole Fenway neighborhood used to be largely residential, and it honestly still is residential. But they have a plan to basically densify that area so that it becomes a more than just a baseball stadium. So they now have a music
I
venue
will
there.
say Fenway Park is one park that has done it right in terms of
But
urban
on
design.
on the flip side, though, the Patriot Stadium is an abomination. It's 40 miles outside the city center. It really does nothing for the economics of Boston and the city and the area. But I mean, I guess it's New England Patriots, not the Boston Patriots. But I do think the Commanders moving to DC does help. Now, I will agree with you. The city gave up way too much, but it's because of its unique situation that it's not a traditional city, and it. I mean, it was going to either go to Virginia or stay in Maryland, and Virginia Alexandria didn't win the stadium. My only pushback on your e games thing is that it can happen in a convention space, right? We have convention centers that are utilized every so often or whatever, right? Like, I mean, some convention spaces are used more than others, but like there are already spaces because like you can pick up and place a East venue anywhere. And on top of that, I know we're trying to create third spaces. If you go to a baseball game or a football game, that's already a third space, even if it is only used for the 8 to 10 games. But they also have concerts. They have monster truck rallies. There's other ways that they can utilize space, especially since now places are becoming domed. So there is a little bit more versatility. But I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying, but I think esports with the guys playing with their headphones on, like they're being social, but they're still distant.
See,
You know.
because you old and you don't understand because you pushing 40. But I
Ageist Society sponsors this episode.
so I hear what you're saying, and what I am suggesting, and as is a model that's more than just plopping an esport venue into a convention center. I'm suggesting something that is intentionally designed, built, programmed to these esport functions, and to also host a esport franchise because there is a lot of entertainment and economic value to like esport franchise. Like I'm not kidding when I say that these Jones be drawing numbers. And I think also there's a component of it that allows um, the layperson to be involved in it more than just as a spectator. And that's why I think there's an opportunity, and there's some models that try to attempt to get this, but like integrating like after school programs, tech incubators, all these other things can be plugged and play into an esport venue more than they can to a Wizards arena or a football stadium, or you know what I'm saying? Like those don't lend themselves to a communal gathering space outside of the day of an event.
So, I had a question about what esports was, but using context clues, I guess is this video games? Is that
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
okay? My only pushback. Well, let me first say I do agree that I do agree that like the real estate that these stadiums have, it takes up a whole bunch of land, and coincidentally enough, this week I was hearing someone talk about how architecture just doesn't have that draw and that wonder that architecture back in like during the Roman times and Greek times had, where we're still able to visit these monuments and still um, value the artistry and the artwork that went into play. So I definitely understand that. My issue though is it is tied to that same sentiment that if we continue to create these spaces where it forces people inside and in their own world, essentially they're missing out on everything else that's happening around them. And again, this is just me putting pieces together. So I don't know how beneficial that would be in terms of the development of the future youth in that way. Like, how are they going to experience life outside of the four walls of their whatever their school, their social gatherings, extracurricular activities, if everything is happening
Mhm.
indoors?
Fair point, and I don't disagree with you. But I will also say, as someone who does grew up on video games, I still
Nerd.
play occasionally. Um, um, I will tell you, in March of 2026, I'm probably going to try to get some extended time off because I'm going to be playing Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm going to be playing GTA 6, and like, I'm going
Oh
to
my
be immersed in this virtual world. And there is a lot of, believe it or not, Jamar, you can co-sign me on it. There'll be some community that be in there. There's some bonding that happens in there, and it's not just. And nowadays, it's not just a guy thing. Like there are women who are streamers, who are gamers, and it's a very inclusive
Yeah.
arena.
And I don't argue that. I don't argue that because I definitely want a Nintendo Switch. But because of its nostalgic this the nostalgic weight that it has, not because I want to be immersed in another world. However, though, Rob and Jamar, have you guys seen the Black Mirror episode? You know what episode I'm talking about? This is what it's giving to me. Okay, this is
I
what it's
used to, I
giving
used
to
to,
me.
I used to joke Rob all the time, like, "Hey, Rob, give him the game real quick." Especially because Rob's married, right? And I'm the single one. Give him the game real quick, Rob.
I mean, they're not too far off. Like, we're being so consumed with video games, so much so that it's part of our reality.
But the thing,
And
I think
okay,
we're all consumed in the virtual world in some way.
whether it's social media,
It might not be video games, but it's social media. It's
yeah,
and so my what I think that these type of venues have an opportunity to do is it allows you to engage in that activity outside of your home in a common space that makes you have to go somewhere, that makes you have to travel,
mm,
see some different neighborhoods, and then you actually experiencing those moments with people together. And I just think, and I'm also thinking about like what is the how can you re-engineer the development of the youth who are going to be engaging in these types of activities. And I think that these are like these esports arenas and these esport franchises, I think, have a unique opportunity to be more community integrated than spending taxpayer monies on you know stadiums and all that stuff.
so question: have you been to an esports arena or an event?
I have not. Well, outside of like the little F1 arcades, but no.
So
And
the reason why I asked that though is because I know we're of a different generation, but I'm pretty sure people like the same people who play esports have been to a baseball game, a football game, or one of those
mm,
arenas, or one of those places,
sure.
right? And like that space is all encompassing to everybody, right? You don't have to be a person who knows sports to go to a game, right?
No.
Especially if we're looking at the Nats, right? The Nats. I've been to so many Nats games that people don't go there. Granted, the tickets are relatively cheap, and baseball, for the most part, baseball is a relatively cheap way to get into into any sport. Football is more expensive because they have shorter amount of time, but even basketball tickets are relatively cheap depending on what
But
city you're in.
there's no socialization that happens there.
We went to a game. We socialized the entire time. No, I don't
That's
remember what
what
happened at the baseball game.
I would say baseball is different because you go to baseball to walk around the concourse and to eat. You don't unless you're really into baseball, you don't go to watch a
Well,
baseball
it's the
game.
same thing with football and basketball, right? I mean,
Oh,
I feel like
I think
I've seen so many Instagram reels of people going to the Wizards games just because of they have like this one little spot where you can go in there and basically get a full course meal and be courtside. and just for the
But
experience of that.
the cost of entry to that though is also another
I mean,
level.
yeah, that's higher, but a lot of people do go to games to socialize. Like maybe you don't, and I mean, I kind of do. I actually went to a game. Well, it was again baseball, but we went to. I didn't see a word. I didn't see anything of the game. Didn't see anything of the game. But I think gaming now has gotten to the point where it's really hard to play in person with other people in the same space unless you have internet connectivity. The Switch is actually a really good example of that because you can break apart your game and give a controller to each person and they can be a part of that game. I think that
Mm,
is if gaming was that way, I would be more on board with your idea.
mm. Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I do understand sentiments about arenas. I really do. But I think the third space of arenas, even if we don't aren't actively participating in it each and every week, it's something that we need, especially in the United States. We're a very big sports driven place. College stadiums, right? The tailgating experience by itself, even if you don't even go to the game, the tailgating experience is an experience.
Mm.
But I would disagree that from a urban design standpoint, I feel like these massive stadiums are a they're just they don't function well as third spaces
So
because
what about
the
Nat Stadium though? Nat Stadium has no expensive or expansive parking, right? It's all parking garages. They have that connector piece that goes and is right beside apartments. It's redeveloped the whole Navy Yard area. It's actually you can argue that's been the incubator for design. So like again, it
there
depends
are
on
exceptions
how it's being implemented.
there are exceptions to the rule. I'm not going to deny that. I do think that the Nat Stadium, and not necessarily the stadium, but just the development around the Nat Stadium is slightly more successful. But you still got this massive stadium that sits vacant half the year. And
Well, okay, you guys can correct me about this, but I just wonder, well, maybe if there's a way we can consolidate some of these sports into one place
We
where we're
tried
not
that.
building. We did?
Yeah, in the '60s, they had combo stadiums where baseball teams were playing in football arenas, and it was
What
the ugliest
happened?
arenas you've ever. That's why that's why we have separate arenas now because they were convertible stadiums. They just weren't nice looking.
Oh, well, I mean,
remember the Oakland Raiders used to play and had the baseball diamond in the field while they played them.
So the
oh,
reason why they stopped it
wow,
was sight
okay.
lines, right? So
Oh,
for
I
sports,
see.
it wouldn't be the best sight lines for baseball, or it wouldn't be the best sight lines for football, and
But
so
they were using a baseball field for different, like different sports, yeah.
yeah. I mean, even
So,
now, like sometimes they convert Fenway to a football field for like I think they used to have a bowl game every year in Fenway, so
well, maybe
it's
it's
still
a
possible.
design thing. I mean, could they design a space where it could, accurately address different types of sports?
It'll
Well,
be expensive though.
I would rather that than to build another arena for one sole sport.
Well,
I mean,
the bigger issue is that it's less of a because I think the fans will appreciate any stadium because I mean people are still flocking to FedEx Field, Northwest Stadium, even though it's a shell of itself. It's
mm,
probably one of the worst stadiums in the NFL, but it's more so the owners. The owners are the issue because they want something brand new. They want to update. They want something ground up. They don't want to fund it, and so they look to the cities like DC or
That,
Buffalo
oh,
or whatever.
that's the
okay.
issue, is that it always becomes a taxpayer funded obligation.
I see.
And if you're a city that has so many other needs, and we all know I think one of the biggest needs in every major city is access to housing. And you're asking the taxpayers to pay $3.8 billion. Now I don't know how the capital stack actually breaks down and what's the actual direct cost to taxpayers, but I'm sure that money can go into some place that is much more that does much more for community needs than a stadium.
Well, Rob, I think I will rent your No, and you bring up valid points. My and the reason why I'm renting, maybe a long-term rent, but like only because I'm just a little apprehensive on what this will do for our future down the line. Like if I am investing in these incubators where it prevent people from actually experiencing life outside the four walls, I don't know. I don't know how our society is going to look like. I'm afraid that we're just going to end up being meat sacks walking around and being controlled not only by our virtual reality on gaming, but like we're already controlled by media that, I mean, with recent events, clearly, we're controlled by everything that we're consuming just by sitting in one place. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm a long-term renter for your
Okay.
position. Yeah.
Well, only thing I'll say, Perla, is when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, you should just play it like just once. Like,
Grand Theft.
yeah,
I'll I'll let my husband know to buy
yeah.
it.
Like, get on the game. You ever want to do a drive by on Jamar? You shoot him up. You know what I'm saying?
Wait a
You
minute.
put me in
Now
there.
we're
You know,
piquing my
you
interest.
know,
What is it
you know.
called? Grand Theft Auto 6?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So,
Okay.
Perla, while you're looking that up, I will also rent only because I think these incubators can be. I think they can be smaller, right? Because I mean, in my head, maybe what you were saying is like instead of building a stadium
Oh.
there, maybe it's a E center. But I think those can be smaller community incubators that aren't, you know, cited on the site where a football stadium could be. I do understand the whole concern about the taxpayers. Like cities have been scammed by these owners for a while. I think it's gotten better though because they do want to have again more housing around the stadiums because they do like we want space to be utilized more. They also want that because that's more revenue towards them. And
Hmm.
so I think they have rethought the whole like parking lot, the stadium surrounded by parking lot idea. I just wish they would move back in the season. That's why I'm a little bit more supportive of what the Commanders going back to DC. I would love for the Patriots to go back to Boston. I don't actually. I never know if they were ever in Boston, but I think all stadiums should be centered in the city that they represent, not in the suburbs. But that's my personal take. But like I said, I think it's a good idea, and I think we should support gaming more. I just think that the stadiums are still also they still have a benefit.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right,
You're welcome.
no problem, no problem. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Oy.
So I guess I'm up next. So American Rumspringer, right? So again, the idea is that 18-year-olds when they turn 18, and I'm imagining this like everybody gets on the bus. Everybody on their birthday, they'll celebrate their birthday. They'll celebrate a day or two of their birthday, and then they get on the bus. They get flown to these random places, right? Basically, again, opposite of where they grew up at, because the whole idea is that you live, work, play in an area that's different than what you grew up in, because it forces you to be uncomfortable. And I think as an adult, I myself having to leave my home to go to college, which I mean, it wasn't the most uncomfortable situation, but then to leave my home and go to another place like Boston, which is pretty different from where I grew up. I think I learned so much about myself. But
Mm.
just imagine this is like Wife Swap. Have you seen Wife Swap?
Hmm.
Yes.
So remember that one episode where it was a black family and a white family, they swapped, and the husband was like, "I hate to tell you, honey, but that was the best cooking I ever had." Right, and I don't know what happened after that, but I think he divorced her, or they got split up or something. Like I don't know, but it was life changing. And then also there was also that kid who was like, "I want bacon. She doesn't want bacon. She doesn't want to give me bacon, so
Oh
I'm leaving.
yeah.
I'm packing my stuff. I'm getting out of here." Anyway, it forces you to be uncomfortable, and I think that's where you grow. And sometimes you like if you are uncomfortable and you feel like like this isn't for me, you can always go back after the end of the 5 years. This is almost like what's it called? It's like military service. After the end of the 5 years, you can decide to return home,
Well, you have
or
to stay there for 5 years.
yeah, 5 years. Because think about it, you can't grow in a place in 2 years. You can't experience a place completely in 2 years. You can't like it's just like college, right? 4 years of college, like that did a number. But if it was 2 years, it might not have done as much. But 5 years, and on top of that, this is what I thought about too. If you have people transitioning from different areas, they also are able to vote in that area. So now you're mixing the pot of the politics because New York might turn red for a little bit. Texas might turn blue for a little bit. California might turn red for a little bit, right? Like this could be an interesting play of like, all right, how do we make things work out so that we are all living in harmony? Now, again, after 5 years, you can decide to go back home, or you can decide to continue to live here if you enjoyed it, or you can go somewhere else. It doesn't matter. But what's also interesting about this idea is that the adults stay, right? So people who are over, was it 23, they're the same people. People who are 60 are still there. So again, you have these intermixing of different age groups that are constantly kind of transitioning. How you navigate living with younger people and older people who have kind of been there for a while. Maybe the people who have been there from 23 to 60, they've been there. They like things the way they like it. Now you have these clashes of like how to live cohesively. So
What age did you say this starts?
18. I was thinking
18.
16, but I think like you should finish high school where you want to. 16.
So my
But
my question is, what is the difference between that and someone going to college out of state?
how many people actually go to college out of state? I didn't, especially with
I
tuition.
did.
But with the way tuition is, most people are probably staying in state or they're staying at a community college now. And so this gives people who also don't go to college, they also get the ability to move, right?
So this is a
Everybody at 18,
mandatory life event.
mandatory
So,
life event.
so,
Everybody at 18 has to move and leave the bird's nest,
Huh.
so I'm assuming this is your, if you ruled the world type of, you know,
basically.
but you can, if you had the power to do all and that everything, this is what you would mandate.
It's just
Uh,
like again, other countries have military services mandate. We
mhm.
this in this country, we will have this.
So you're revoking their free will to force them to experience life in a different state
Yes,
in this
you can.
country.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
And again, you can go wherever you want, but it has to be opposite of where you grew up, or at least somewhat opposite of where you grew up.
Mm.
So the only requirement is that they move to a different state.
Yeah,
Uh,
they
but like,
can't. They can't.
is there any specifics? Like, if somebody is growing up in, say, I don't know, Miami, Florida, can they relocate to like Orange County, California, in Los Angeles?
Yeah, yeah. There's. I will say they have to leave the state. It doesn't matter how far, but it has to be opposite of where they grew up. So if you grew up in Miami in a Latin stronghold of Miami, or a Caribbean stronghold of Miami, you have to go to West Virginia,
Yikes.
right?
They're not going to survive.
You said it, not I. But
Well,
I,
I
again,
mean,
again,
I'm
I,
from
I think
Caribbean.
because, and remember, this happens every year. It's not a one time thing. So every year, 18 years are making that transition. It's almost like a college
Mm,
town, almost like it almost becomes a college town situation where there's, and again, not everybody's going to college, right? Some people are going to become mechanics, some people are going to become firefighters, whatever the case may be. But you have to now live within that community, serve within that community, vote within that community,
Hmm.
and I'm just interested to see
mm.
what happens with it.
So I have some concerns. You know, I can tell that this is an idea that was thought of by somebody who, I don't know how else to say this, so I'm just saying, hopefully, it comes out, understanding.
Go ahead,
Um,
Aegis.
by
Or
somebody who just doesn't have children. you're
if
asking,
you, I mean, that's
you're,
fine. You can take your family with
Mm.
you.
you're asking me at 18 years old to send my child clear across the country for 5 years. Like,
It's the
I
same
don't,
thing as joining the military. Same thing as going to college.
I don't, my kid, my son is young right now. I don't want my kids to leave at
You are
all.
talking as a first time dad. Relax, calm down. It will be
But,
fine.
like, if you think about it, like, 18, I don't got that much time with him to be in the house with me. Then he gonna be
Mm.
off on doing his own
He can
thing.
come back and visit. He's not gone forever, Rob. If he
Not,
decides, maybe he don't like you. Maybe that's why
the
he wanted to
same.
go.
It's not the same. Um,
But all right, go ahead, go ahead.
but I actually do understand the essence of what you're trying to get at, and I think that there is a way to actually smooth it out a little bit more. It really sounds like some type of cultural exchange type program, and
Mm.
I
Basically,
think that this is something that can be, done in a way that is more tactile. Logistics makes sense. Maybe it's not 5 years straight. Maybe it's like summer type of exchange. But
no. Summer is too short. You can't change that much.
I think, though, from my perspective, the goal of it is exposure and proximity, not necessarily, I guess, indoctrination of you have to go be planted somewhere and adapt and evolve. It's exposure and proximation, and I think that that is actually really powerful. because you will you experience you. It's hard to be a racist if you actually have done community with people who look different than you, because you all understand that at the end of the day we all have the same thing in common. We want to be happy, we want to be healthy, we want the ability to be able to raise our children, to support our families, etc., etc., etc. So you start to see through the differences. So I do think that at the heart of what you're proposing is actually very noble and makes sense, and I think that there should be something like that in place.
My oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was the thought that came across my mind is, okay, what would prevent this 18-year-old finding a community already in another, well, yeah, what would prevent an 18-year-old going to another state across country, although it be West Virginia or Colorado, but still finding a community that resembles what they had at home? So it becomes counterproductive, unless, that community in Colorado or West Virginia says, no, you're not supposed to be here. Go experience what it's like with this other group of people. And to Rob's point, I can't imagine sending my child to the center point of the KKK and having them experience life there. So there are some things that need to be worked out a little bit more, but I am in
Well,
agreement with Rob where it is a noble endeavor where we're
well,
trying to create some sort of unity, um, in terms of understanding other people from different beliefs, different cultures, and maybe even preventing the hate that we see in the world today.
didn't you leave? But you left the state at 18. No,
Yes.
you did, right? And
Hmm.
but I mean, you granted, you went to a similar community that you grew up in.
No, not at all.
You went to an SDA church though.
I
Like,
went to an SDA Haitian church and I went to an SDA Caucasian campus. Different.
did you grow from that experience? Did that shape your? Because I mean, you're basically living what I talked about.
Well, yes. And what I will say, Jamar, I think because, well, hold on, Jamar, but you're saying this experience should start at 18. My experience started way before 18. I've already been opened up to different cultures at a young age. And so I think, and it wasn't as consistent, but I was just in my head, yes, I know there are other cultures or other people within our denomination that have a different culture and that, go from there. So to push back on that argument that I thought you were going to do an alley hoop on, I think it should start pretty early on, and it's really the parents' responsibility to open up the world of their
But
children.
in your case, and not to pick your case, but in your
Hmm.
case, you went to a different community but with similar values.
Oh, Jamar, again, to push back on that,
Okay.
sure, we had similar beliefs relatively, but to paint a picture for you, on the campus, we had a black church, we had a white church, we had a multicultural church, we had a Latino church, we had an African church. So there was still some level of segregation that happened within the campus itself, although be it
Hmm.
it was predominantly a white campus.
Because
Now, go ahead, Rob.
say this one thing. I think what Whitney is. Oh,
Just for that, she's
Hi,
now
Whitney.
rejecting every peanut from here on out.
Perla, please forgive me.
Yes. Hmm?
Please forgive me.
You're good. You're good.
But
I was looking and saw Whitney myself as well, Rob. Just, just so you know.
what I think Perla is pointing out as a flaw in your approach is that you can send folks out to these different communities to allow them to be in a place that's new and different. But the flaw is that they're just going to find their own insular
There.
community
Yeah.
within.
And that's true. That's true. And that could happen. I'm not saying that it's going to be a perfect, oh, everybody's going to come back and kumbaya. It could reinforce. But
Hmm.
also, again, you have to mix in with different other people. So if you grew up in a traditionally, again, Amish community, black community, white
Yeah.
community, you are now being implemented in another place. And you have to honestly struggle with creating new connections. And yes, it might be easier for some than others. but you still have to be forced into a different experience in a different state in a different culture, right?
Well, here's the thing, Jamar, and this might support your idea. Even though I went to a campus like that, and even though the churches itself were separated like that, I graduated with a friend from Honduras, Angola, the Netherlands, white, Ethiopia. Like I still left
You start on
that
Ethiopia.
experience. I still left my college experience having friends from different walks of life anyway, and had different takes. Are we still friends now? I'm not sure. No, but that's just the nature of things. But bring it back to when I graduated college. Even though what brought us together to that campus to begin with was our beliefs, I still left with people who were from different walks of life who didn't really necessarily hold the same sort of principles from those beliefs, but we still, we still vibed, we still connected because of architecture. That was our major. And so there still needs to be some common thread, I think, that would keep that child in that state, whatever it is, and go from there.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is that just from my personal experience, I've grown so much, and again, it's a personality thing, right? You can go into a situation and be closed minded, or you can go into it and be open minded. When I went to UVA, that completely changed my viewpoint on a lot of things because I went to school with people who were way wealthier than I was. Like I came from a middle class, lower middle class background, going to school with people who are their dads are senators and stuff like that. They have boats and yachts and BMWs as their first car. So
Wow.
that was an experience for me. But then going to Boston, right? Like honestly, I had never met somebody from Cape Verde or Cape
Mm,
Verde. Sorry,
yeah.
whoops.
Cabo
Um,
Verde.
like even at Icon, right? Like I met with people who I honestly would have never probably talked to,
Yeah.
and we gained a friendship from that. And now I have friends all over the country versus like if I just stayed in where I grew up at, I most likely would probably just have friends within that area.
Yeah.
So
That's
that,
true.
that that's my last point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're at a point where we can vote on the idea. I will just say that if I was in this program and my ticket got pulled for Willacoochee, Georgia, I'd be pissed.
What will the coochie though? What will the coochie do to you?
What's in Willacoochee?
You watch the Steve Harvey show.
That's exactly where I got it from. So my vote on this, I'm going to rent it. Not because I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's just you didn't do you just kind of slopped it together. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted you to take it to a
Because you know
next
why I came off the
level,
dome.
figure out some logistics and things. But I think that there's some fine tuning that can be done. But I think the essence of your idea is strong.
Yeah. With some slight modifications to your approach, man, I'm debating between buying and renting. Like, if you adjusted it just a bit, I'd probably buy it. But as it is right now, I'll rent because there's still a few topics
No,
that I think needs to be discussed in terms of like the parent's role in the child's life. What they're doing along the way to bring them up to the age of 18, where they're competent enough to go to another state and not cause chaos, not cause a ruckus.
but it's the same
But
thing
yeah.
about college though, right? Like college is
I
another
mean,
I
you
mean,
experience.
but they're in
know the
school
college is
at
okay.
the age of 5, so they
Yeah.
already know the environment, the educational environment that they're going to, walk into. But anyway, that's it.
I'll take the rents. I'll take the rents. Obviously, there could be some modifications, but I'll take the rents.
Okay. Okay.
But hey, thank y'all for tuning in with us. This is Auto Black. We're back for the season. We kicked it off with a bang. We'll do some more of these pinup style recordings, and hopefully we'll get the full gang back with us. Me and gang. So we'll catch y'all next time.
Bye. Hey everybody! Thank you for listening to this episode of AutoBlack. If you have enjoyed the discussion, please hit that subscribe button or follow button, whatever you'd like. AutoBlack is a discussion-based podcast that is unapologetically black at the intersection of design and culture. We acknowledge that our experiences are just that,
our experience, but your voice is worth elevating and your perspective is valid. So please join the conversation and connect with us on Instagram at AutoBlack_podcast, or email us your thoughts, comments, and even future topics you'd like us to discuss on The Stoop at AutoBlackPodcast@gmail.com. AutoBlack out. Bye!